Tom Shillue says his dad was like Darth Vader with a Boston accent. His mother drove a Volkswagen bus with a Nixon Agnew sticker. Tom says his parents raised him in the 70s with a 50s mentality and that their simple values have shaped his life. Take a look.
Comedian and Fox News host Tom Shillue says good old respect has gone the way of the dinosaur. Raised in Norwood, Massachusetts, in a large Irish Catholic family, Tom says his parents kept him grounded with love for God, country, and family. In his book, Mean Dads for a Better America, Tom shares funny childhood stories while addressing serious issues on the forefront of every parent's mind today.
Tom Shillue is here with us now. And Tom, welcome to the 700 Club.
Thank you. What a video. I love it.
You need to take that home to your kids.
Oh,
right?
they're going to love it. It's amazing. And this picture's my parents.
You just mentioned that your dad was a little bit like Darth Vader. And that you wouldn't mind if your kids had a healthy bit of fear in them toward you. What do you mean by that?
I mean, I wish I could be a mean dad like my dad was. I want to drag a little bit of his philosophy into the present. But he would wake us up with his breathing. He'd say, get in the car, you know, and we would run. We'd run down and we'd get in that car. Now,
here you were, a young kid, and you got into a lot of scuffles, a lot of fights as a kid. Maybe not a lot, but some.
Well, everywhere. I mean, the interesting thing was I grew up with, you know, in a good home. My parents were disciplinarians. But when you think about it, we had a lot of freedom back then because most of our life was spent outside of the watchful eye of parents.
Boy, that is the truth, isn't it?
Yeah,
I mean, we had the freedom to do that.
It was freedom, and it was freedom to be bad. Kids were bad, and kids were mean. So when I got bullied, I would come home and say to my mother, "Oh, you know, Chris was pushing me around," and she said, "Punch him back." So I went back and I punched him back. I did. So she taught me how to fight back. You know, she was tough too. I was going to call the book "Mean Dads and Cheap Moms," because my mom was. She was a real money saver.
Was she?
She did not like to spend money.
Well, you know, families didn't have the option then. I remember my mom, probably yours too, went to the grocery store with a certain amount of cash in her hand and sometimes put stuff back if she had to.
Well, she had two hands full. She had the cash, and then she had an envelope full of coupons.
Yeah, the green book. Yeah.
Yes, my mother was a member of what I call the militant couponing community. Everything in our house had holes in it. She cut everything out of the newspapers and magazines.
I've tried to follow that, but they get stuck at the bottom of my purse.
Yeah.
They're never with me when I need them. You say that God, country, and family really saved your life. In what way?
I didn't even know it was saving my life, but growing up, you know, I had this very ordered world. And when I started writing the book, I wanted to write about the 1970s. Yeah. Because when you see it in movies or in TV, everybody has the long hair and the beads, and they look like they just got out of the Woodstock concert. But for me, it looked more like the 1950s. If you see those old photos of me as a kid, we had a great small town.
It's like Leave It to Beaver.
It was. Yeah. And we would watch Leave It to Beaver. We'd watch the old reruns. And so our life was a lot more traditional back then. And I think young people today don't realize that. But so I started writing about the 70s, and it ended up being kind of a tribute to my parents. It was every chapter I wrote, I was trying to tell funny stories, and I think they're funny, and I think you're going to look back and you're going to laugh at the way that I was raised. But in the end, the message was, it always came down to gratitude, about how grateful I was about the way I was raised, and I was trying to think, how can I give my own kids a little bit of that, you know, because it's such a different world today, but how can we take the past and learn from it?
You know, Mean Dads for a Better America is the name of the book, but you describe your parents as strong disciplinarians until you were about 12. Yeah. And then, and I love this, they kind of gave you a freedom to go figure it out.
They did. I mean, I used to horse around, and I confess in the book I would skip church with my friends. Shocking. And, you know, I mean, it was like, you know, I dyed my hair, and we were, you know, you're trying to be a rebel. And my parents let me because I think they understood that they gave me a good upbringing. Yes. And then they gave me that freedom. And there's that, it's interesting. I don't know if they intended to do that or if they just were sick and tired of me, but the thing was...
They got over it.
I had friends who their parents were in their face. You know, you had the disciplinarian parents, and then you had the parents who just, you know, they didn't raise their kids right at all, you know? But then I had my parents who... They weren't in my face all the time, you know, and they kind of let me figure it out. And look, I mean, I feel like I turned out okay. How's that? How'd I do? How'd I do?
We're going to take a group vote when this is done. Are you trying to raise your kids the same way?
I am. I want to be a mean dad, but I can't be Darth Vader.
Yeah.
But I want a little bit of that.
Yeah.
Oh, there's my kids. I mean, look, it's fantastic. Okay,
fun.
Right. I let them have ice cream. But the thing is...
But you do let them just kind of work it out, don't you?
I try to be my dad on the playground. With these modern parents, I'm raising my kids in New York.
Yeah,
you know?
hello.
And so I think I'm doing a good job. Yeah. You know, I went down the playground and there was my daughter started going bang, bang. And then there was another boy, bang, bang. And they're back and forth, bang, 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 bang. And then the New York dad next to me runs over to his son and he says, "No guns." And my daughter went like this and she said, "It's not real." It's not real. And I looked at the guy and I said, you know what? That's common sense right there.
Well, some of it is what we're facing even today in the news. You know, I mean, I think people are so terrified by what's going on. The world has changed a lot.
It is.
Since you grew up, since I grew up.
I like to turn off the TV. I don't like to say that when I'm on a TV show, but it's like,
okay.
Turn off the media and turn off the devices. And because sometimes we're bombarded with messages. And so I like to have that family time with the media off and we tell stories. A lot of these stories are stories I tell my kids before bedtime. They say, "Dad, tell me about that time your mom said, punch him back."
You know, I think one of the things that's so fun about your book is in a world that's gone a little bit mad today, we have an opportunity to go back and remember what it was like when we all cared about each other despite our differences and when we took time to invest in our kids and in each other as family. And I think you're going to really love the book. It's called Mean Dads for a Better World. It'll make you smile as you read it and kind of long for a little bit of what we had years ago. You can get it in stores nationwide. Tom Shillue, great.
Thank you so much.
Wonderful to have you with us.